Every month, as part of the Show Windows programme, we speak to the artists behind the windows. And today we are speaking to Samir Kulavoor, whose new artwork has just been unveiled in the window of Millington's travel agents in Coventry city centre. Fittingly, Samir is talking to us from the other side of the world. Hello, Samir. Where in the world are you today?
I'm currently in Mumbai, which is on the western coast of India.
Will you tell us about the work that you have produced for the show windows? How would you describe it to somebody who's never seen it before?
So the work at the show windows in Coventry they're basically paper sculptures. I've been fascinated by paper in the last 2-3 years, and I've been trying a lot of things. Through this particular window, I'm looking at history through the lens of architecture. What does it? How does history kind of manifest itself in the way we build, in the kind of spaces we inhabit? So these paper sculptures are basically pop-ups, which is also a reference to the post-war, resurrection of Coventry as a city. So I'm looking at architecture which ranges from Victorian style to Brutalist architecture to modern day aluminum composite buildings and structures, but all of that in kind of a playful manner. So yeah, that's what my work is about.
So Samir, your work touches on the heroic reinvention, resurrection and evolution of Coventry throughout its history. And I know that you were fascinated in trying to analyse and understand the impact that time, culture, politics and socio-economic conditions have on our visible and invisible surroundings. What was it like to investigate Coventry so thoroughly and in many ways so intimately, yet be so far away?
So in some ways, this project is kind of a departure from the way I'd like to approach a project. I tend to actually spend time if I'm working on these kind of ideas surrounding, ideas about the metropolis or a city and urban spaces. So I'd like to actually be there. But for Coventry, I did the second best thing possible, which is basically take a walk on Google Street View. So I spent a couple of days just walking around Coventry remotely, which is kind of a strange feeling, but that was the second best thing to do given the pandemic and the conditions around the world. And it was interesting because at every turn I would enter a space that reveals a different era, so to say, and reveals a different set of forms and structures, the diversity in the kind of spaces in Coventry. So that was interesting, as you know, I've never done this kind of a research before.
So the Show Windows programme is all about whisking viewers away to other worlds through a window pane, whilst their feet remain planted on the pavement in their local high street. What do you do, or where do you go when you want to escape into fantasy or transcend beyond the day-to-day?
I literally travel. By that, what I mean is, I've in my experience, I've felt that what happens in a day-to-day scenario is that even with me, when I'm spending time in a certain place, for example, Bombay right now, you pass the same roads pretty much every day, right? When you travel from home to studio or home to your work, or to your grocery store or whatever, right? And what tends to happen is we get desensitized to our surroundings. So what I do is as a rule, I travel. I spend about a month or two in a different city. It can be a different city in India or around the world, but I do that, and the way it helps is it not only fills me with a lot of new inspiration, new visuals, but when I return to Bombay, I feel more sensitized. When I return to my familiar surroundings, I see things differently. Like I tend to notice things that I've not noticed before, and it really helps me in all ways, like mentally, physically, work-wise. It really helps me to kind of revisit spaces that are seemingly mundane or regular.
And finally, a question we ask all of our artists: can you show us something precious from your studio or workspace and tell us why it inspires you?
The studio can also get a little mundane every now and then, but let me take you through studio briefly. It's kind of messy. A bunch of materials and paint boxes. That's where I sit with my laptop. Yeah, but what is really kind of interesting is this cutout of my cat. He's called Sumo, and he stays at home. But we have a larger than life cutout of Sumo in the studio, and two of them actually. One you can see on the top right corner there. Uh, they they're not they don't they're not like any they're not like an inspiration or anything, but it just helps to keep the mood light. It's just there, like it's my dear cat who's keeping a check on what I'm doing.